Was möchten Sie denn gerne?
Ich hätte gerne ein Brot.
Wir haben Weißbrot, Roggenvollkornbrot, Kürbiskernvollkornbrot, Mistbrot, Viersaatbrot und viele andere Brote noch.
What? It turns out Germans are pretty crazy about their bread. And no wonder. In fact, there are over 3,000 different types of German bread. That means if you ate a different kind every day, you could keep going for 8 years. I grew up in Scotland where sliced bread is pretty much the standard, but my German dad used to bake a different kind at home for us every week, so I got a taste of the culture from a pretty young age. But why are Germans so crazy about their bread? Let's find out.
First of all, no, bread baking was not invented in Germany. The oldest bread remains are over 14,000 years old and were found in what is now Jordan. Bread is one of the world's most common and oldest foods. Many countries have their own types of bread and flour. By the way, the country where the most bread is consumed per capita isn't Germany, but Turkey. There may be other nations that eat more volumes of bread than Germany, but you'd be hard-pushed to find somewhere where bread is as integrated into the culture as it is here. There's a TV show hosted by a loaf of bread, and even an annual competition, Bread of the Year. In 2022, it's the wood-fired bread. It's no wonder that German bread culture is a UNESCO World Heritage. All you need to bake bread is flour, salt, water, and yeast or sourdough. Different types of flour and such ingredients as grains provide variety. Ulrich Kinzel is a master baker in one of Berlin's oldest bakeries. But ingredients alone do not make good bread. The process does too. Knead the dough correctly, shape it and let it sit. Then bake it in the oven for just the right amount of time.
Es gibt kein anderes Land, das so eine ausgeprägte Brotkultur hat wie Deutschland. Brot ist halt etwas der ersten Dinge, die man vermisst im Ausland. Also da merkt man, dass die Brotvielfalt, dass das etwas sehr Deutsches ist und dass das wirklich nur hier gibt.
So why are there so many different kinds of German bread? Well, it all comes down to history. Germany wasn't always a united country. It used to be divided into several independent states, each of which had their own kind of grains and their own ways of baking bread. Bread can be eaten at all times of the day. A classic option for breakfast would be some bread rolls, maybe with some jam and cheese, typically served with a boiled egg and a glass of orange juice. Then there's Pausenbrot, which literally translates into bread break, typically a sandwich with maybe cheese or meat eaten around 12 o'clock. And finally, there's Abendbrot, evening bread, typically a darker rye bread with, again, cheese, cold cuts, and probably some radishes or pickles on the side. As the Germans say, guten Appetit. But the centuries-old culture is under threat. A few traditional bakeries are still thriving, but many supermarkets and discounter stores are taking over. They don't bake their bread from scratch, but they do sell it on the cheap, meaning that the number of bakeries and the people wanting to learn the trade is in decline. 60 years ago, there were over 55,000 bakeries in Germany. Now that number has dropped to just under 10,000. While many bakeries are closing down, others are putting new concepts to the test, like the Kite Bakery in Berlin, where they believe less is more. Only 5 types of bread are available. Owners Kolja Orzeschko and Tanos Petalutis gave up their jobs at German sports brand Adidas to open the bakery with its 2 branches. All the ingredients come from within a 100-kilometer radius of Berlin.
Also tatsächlich gibt es hier Brot an jeder Ecke. Also man kriegt das mittlerweile in den Supermärkten, an den Tankstellen und Brot ist eigentlich überall verfügbar, gerade in Deutschland. Für uns war es aber auch nochmal wichtig aufzuzeigen, dass Brot Freude auch bereiten kann und dass es so besonders ist, dass wir sagen, wir machen wenige Brote, aber die dann besonders gut.
Also wir backen ausschließlich natürlich. Wir benutzen wirklich nur Mehl, Wasser und Salz im Brot und Sauerteig. Und wir glauben, dass das Brot dadurch nicht nur länger hält und bekömmlicher ist, sondern einfach auch besser schmeckt.
I grew up appreciating German bread, but it was only when I moved to Germany that I realized just how crazy Germans are about their bread. And who can blame them when it plays such a huge role in daily life and is so connected to the history of the country? Hopefully, Germany's bakers will be able to keep the craft alive for many more years to come.